Welcome to another episode of The Evening Dish. This week's Takeout, we're going to have an extended episode of just this week's Takeout because Marley's on vacation. I hope she's having a nice big margarita for me. I'm joined co-hosting tonight with Rob Petree. I'm Angela Keiko. Rob is one of our newest anchor/reporter extraordinaire.
Thank you.
So thanks for joining me, Rob.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. This is something I've looked forward to all week. I think this show is so cool because, we go through tons of stories every single week, many of them raising eyebrows as high as the Empire State Building, and then you never hear about it again, right? So this is a show where we go back and we take a look at some of the more interesting, controversial stories that, the talkers, right? The talking stories that that people want to know about. We go through and we really analyze it and everything. So it's a cool opportunity here. So I'm very excited.
Well, we have a really interesting story to start with.
That's right.
So there's been a string of thefts, not only here in Western New York, but apparently across the country. But the thieves are stealing something very unusual. Why don't you tell us what that is, Rob?
Cooking grease. And I got to tell you, when I heard this story, I was like, who steals grease? But then I got to think about it, Angela, and I'm like, well, it kind of makes sense because when you think about the cooking grease in restaurants, fast food places, that's got to be changed, and it's got to be changed a lot, or what else, whatever you're cooking in that grease is going to be nasty. So in saying that, they go through a lot of grease. So you have to wonder, well, what happens to that grease? Well, there's actually companies that will buy that grease from these restaurants, and they do something to it, and then they resell it. And such was the case here. So, it's historically been something that restaurants toss out like the garbage, right? Mm-hmm. But it's actually become a favorite target for thieves, and it's costing a local company tens of millions of dollars. That's this company's bread and butter, I should say, or grease and butter.
Well, we talked to Buffalo Biodiesel the other day.
We did. Yeah.
And that's a company that collects this cooking grease, used cooking grease from thousands of restaurants or their client. The restaurants do get a financial kickback from every gallon that they take. And I'm not sure what they do with it, but I know that they sell it to refineries. And they told us that this year it's going to cost them, this theft of this cooking grease is going to cost them $30 million. So we know why the thieves are taking it. I mean, there's obviously a lot of money in used cooking grease.
Who would have ever thought?
I don't know.
Did you have any idea? Because I didn't.
But, the thieves, there's two of them that were arrested. They were from Yonkers, New York, and they were stealing, we don't know exactly which restaurant, but on Transit Road. So they were caught, and one of the charges that they're facing is possession of burglary tools. I don't know what kind of tools you would need to steal cooking grease. You had mentioned maybe a hose.
Yeah, well, it also depends too. They said this was behind the restaurant, right? So I don't know. I'd have to imagine that they had it some kind of secured, right? Was it chained up? Was it behind like a fence or something like that? They could get charged that if they're breaking through something in order to get that grease. But I don't know. Like I started thinking of like Breaking Bad and how they stole that methylamine off of the train, and they used that big hose, and I'm thinking, well, it probably wasn't that elaborate, but we
don't know. Have you ever stolen cooking grease?
Right.
You don't know.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing that you could steal.
They were caught in a truck, and they had 1,400 gallons of it in the back of the truck.
1,400 gallons.
Yeah.
I keep in my mind, I hear 1,400 gallons, and I'm thinking of 1,400 gallons of milk.
Jugs.
That's a lot, But you alluded to that CEO. His name was actually Tom George. He's the CEO of Buffalo Biodiesel, and our newsroom interviewed him. I believe our Patrick Ryan. He did a great job following up on this story, and it's affecting their bottom line. He said, it is affecting me, us, our company so much. I should have all 7 floors at 17 Court full with sales. I should be well over 300 employees. I'm just not in a financial position to move forward with that yet until we can get a handle on this. You know what that tells me? That tells me that this most recent incident doesn't scratch the surface of the problem on this. For this to be affecting his bottom line, it ain't just because that restaurant had their cooking grease stolen. That I can tell you. So this is a trend that I think, and a lot of other people watching, correct me if I'm wrong, had no idea that this was such a big thing.
Yeah. So, I'm sure the restaurants are going to start putting something in place where they have surveillance cameras or, better lock or, like you said, a fence or something around it so that they can avoid that. But yeah, cooking grease, who would have thought?